Alright, so in this video what I'm going to do is basically make some particles for when the player jumps. Quite honestly though, if you want to make particles and you want to do something more specifically, I would just suggest going on YouTube and looking up like how to make fire, how to make fireworks, how to make rain, whatever it is that you want to create. There are loads of them, because basically what it is that there's a system built in there that is very flexible, but it's all a lot of number pushing. So I'm just going to do a very basic thing that I think you could probably leverage to do a number of things, but just so you get a rough idea how to kind of start it, and then you can kind of go from there and do what you think would look good. Okay, so I'm just going to do something where I'm going to have like a puff of smoke when my player jumps, right? So just to add a little pizzazz. It's not going to be anything too exciting, but basically the idea is right now, when I jump, he makes that noise, but I want it that, like, kind of like Mario when he jumps, there's like a little puff of smoke comes out, okay? Again, for flexibility purposes, I'm actually going to do it by using a sprite that we're going to attach to our smoke, okay? So, I drew, oops, that's scripts, I meant sprites. Alright, and I'm just going to put this over here, and I drew this little guy here, this smoke puff. That's the thing that's basically going to be, that I'm going to use in order to do that, and that's fine. So just, I don't really have to change anything about it, because it says Sprite 2D and UI, and I think that's it, yeah. I don't think I need to do anything to it, so really, that looks fine. That's not, I'm not going to play around with that at all. That's what I'm going to use. Okay, now, what we're going to do from here is I need to make a particle object. So we're going to create, and we're going to do effects, particle system, Badoop. And you're going to see immediately, that's to be in the scene. Okay, and let's make sure we're in 2D mode. There we go. And you can see right off the bat, it's doing this, okay? So these are the default settings, and if I were to play the game, where is that actually? That is like way out there, isn't it? Let's zero this out. And let's go to game. Here it is. So if I hit play, you're just going to see it's going to look like this. Okay, so by default, it just creates that. Okay, now we can do some adjusting and stuff, but that's what it's starting off with, just so you get an idea. The cool thing is that you could tell it to play. And so while you're, let me frame it, F for frame. So while it's playing, I can see it and make adjustments and things like that here, okay? And you can pause it or stop it. Okay, so there's this nice little thing there. It's kind of useful because if you're trying to do these settings and stuff here, it makes it a little bit easier and harder. All right, I am not going to go through and tell you what all these things are, because quite honestly, there's a lot. And I mean, you can use all these to do all sorts of different things. I'm gonna link a different video on my website that Brackeys did a video on, and he kind of goes real quickly through all of it in a really succinct amount of time, describes it really well. It's pretty sweet. Okay, so I'm just going to have, you can watch that. But again, you know, in order to get certain looks, that's what you would use. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm just going to go ahead and on the renderer, it's using this default particle system. That's that little globes that you see coming off. That's what it's rendering. I don't like that. So right off the bat, I'm just going to fix that first. So we have to make our own material to apply there. So you'll look, we don't have any materials. So I'm going to go ahead and go create folder, and I'll make a folder, and it's just going to be called materials. Okay, and I'm going to open that up, and then right click and create, and we're going to create a material. Okay, and I'm just going to call this smoke puff material. Boom. Great, smoke puff material. Okay, now on that material, you'll see there's a couple different options here. So there's standard, that's typically what we see, but there's actually one that's specifically for particles. Going to go particles, and then let's do standard surface. Okay, yeah. Last time actually, I think I did particles standard unit. Let's do standard unit. Okay, and right here it's going to ask for a map. Basically, that's the image that's going to be on it. That's the thing that we want to put on there. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm just going to choose the little target symbol, and I'm going to choose Smoke Puff. Okay, so now that's set up. I'm just going to go ahead and apply it there so you can see it. So I'm going to choose the particle system. Again, scroll down to the render section, And you can see right now it has the default material. Just click and drag and plop it on there. And go ahead and hit play, and you're going to see there it is. But you might notice that, and also this is a PNG, by the way, that it's making it black. So that's not quite what I want. It's getting closer, but it's obviously I want it to be transparent. Okay. So on the material itself, we want to change the rendering mode from opaque to, I think fade is the one I want. I might have to change that. Color mode, additive, attractive. Yeah, multiply, overlay. Okay, let's do fade and overlay. I might need to change that afterwards. I can't remember exactly which one I want, but we're gonna go with that because you'll see why. There's certain settings these need to be in order to do this one thing I want to do. But we're gonna go with that to start with. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my particle system. I'm gonna rename this, and we'll call this smoke puff. Probably should have been dust. Now I think about it. We'll call it smoke puff. Particle system. Glorious. Okay, smoke puff particle system. Great. Okay, so we've got this going on now. So we've got duration, and right now it's set to 5. It's also on loop, so let's turn loop off. And then we'll hit play, and that way I can see it. So it's going to go for 5 seconds, basically, which is way longer than I need. So you can see right at 5 seconds it basically stops. So let's just do 1 to start with. I just want to play for 1 second, like that. Okay, so probably not even going to want it that long. Let's try 0.1, because I want it to just be a burst. That's not even enough. All right, let's put it back to 1 for now. All right, we don't want looping. I take looping off. Start delay, obviously I want to start right off the bat. The lifetime, we'll leave that at 5 is fine. Start speed 5 is fine. Okay, so right here you can see where it says start rotation. So right now, if I hit play, we'll just play it here. You see how they're all coming out at the same rotation? Now I could change this number, but what it's going to do is it's just going to turn them all one direction. So what I want to do is on start rotation, instead I'm going to do randomly between 2 constants, randomly between 2 numbers. And I'm just going to choose to do -30 and 30. Okay? And now when I hit play, you'll see they come out at different angles. Okay? So restart. Okay? And you can choose if you want it to be more extreme, rotate it, make those numbers larger. But that should be fine. Start color. Let's leave that alone for right now. Gravity multiplier or modifier. That just means it's going to apply gravity to it. I don't really need that right now. Actually, let's do 0.25. So let's restart. So you can see it's kind of neat. Okay. Alright, so, yeah, start lifetime. Let's make this 2.5. So that's how long I think it will play for, and then they'll die, right? Yeah, then they'll just die. Okay. We might need to change that number, but that's fine to start with. Okay. The rest of this I'm okay with for now. We might change some of this afterwards. The emission. Okay, so rate over time. The number of particles emitted per second. I'm going to make this significantly less. Oh, actually, even before I do this, you see where it says burst? I actually want to do a burst of them because I want it to puff out. So I'm just going to hit a plus on that, and this will give me a burst. And so right now it's set to 30. Let's do 5. And now if we play, it'll do like 1 shoot of it. Cycles 1, interval, that's fine. Let's see, can I do 0.1 now? Will that fix that? Let's see. There you go. That's more what I want. Okay. Alright, so that's okay. Rate over time, rate over distance, that's fine. We'll leave that alone. The shape. Now this is the shape of what it's emitting from. So if you look, you can see right now it's shooting out of this cone is what it's calling it, right? So it's basically like a funnel, and it shoots out of this, which honestly most of the time that's probably what you want, but in my case I'm trying to just do this little pop thing. So there's different shapes that you can play around with. You can see there's all sorts of them, like hemisphere. So what it'll do is it'll actually shoot out from this hemisphere. So let's restart, right? Which is kind of cool. All right. Stop. Okay. So that's kind of neat. There's all sorts of different ones. I'm going to just go with the, where are you at? I was going to do the circle, which is actually kind of a little bit low. And the other thing I'm going to do too, just for the purposes of being able to see what the character, I'm going to take it and put it right at the base of him, because that's obviously where it's going to shoot from. It's not actually going to work in any way, but just so I can see it by scale and stuff. And I'll hit restart, and that's a little bit more like what I wanted. Okay. Now, you can do that, but then you might want to scale it some. So you can change. I can change the radius of the circle. I can change the scale right here. I didn't try radius last time. That actually probably be easy. Let's try that 0.1. Good. So now I'll just shoot out this little spot here instead of such a large area. So let's play. There we go. Stop. Great. Okay. But if you wanted to change any of the stuff, you can do it here. And actually, you can change, like if I wanted to rotate this emitter, that's, oops, go back there. Get down here. Where are you at? That's not where I was. Where are you? Right here. You would rotate it and move it and scale it using these, okay? You can also do it up here, obviously, but this is how you would do it if you wanted to change it in some way. I don't like how it jutted me out. Okay, so that's how you would change the size, but that's the object that's shooting it out, okay? And there's all sorts of different options in here. I'm going to call that good for that, and I'm going to go down to the renderer, and let's see, do I need to change anything here? Trails, I don't need any of that. I think that's all fine. Okay, I'm going to go back to the thing up here. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go to, I want to add a couple other things here. So, one is I want to do size over lifetime, because right now it starts at the max size. So I'm going to turn that on. So lifetime is the lifetime of the particle. So from when it lives and dies, right? So it starts, it spawns, and then it goes away. So we're going to do size over lifetime, and then I'm going to turn it on, click it on there, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and you're going to see it's going to show up here. Now they have these pre-made ones. So this one, it gets bigger over time. So if I play, see, it'll get bigger. And then if I went this direction, it's going to start big and get smaller. Okay? And they have these different arcs and all that other stuff. So I would rather make something a little more custom. So I'm going to start it small, and I'll have it kind of end sort of small, like that. So I can just click on these. And then I'm going to click in here, double click. Come on, there it goes. Okay. And I'm going to pull this up. So instead, mine's going to start out kind of small, get bigger, and then get small again. And actually, we'll even have it go smaller, and this can go up a little bit. I'm going to go like that. So now if I hit play, all right, so that will go from, life to death, and that's basically how it's going to scale over time. I'm also going to go ahead and do the color over lifetime. Turn that on. And then click on this little, we'll leave that. Just click on the thing here. And right now, you'll see there's ones above and there's ones below. The one above is alpha. The one below is color. So right now it's white because it's the absolute color that it is. And I'm going to leave that alone. But if for some reason you want your particle to get dark or something, you could add black here or whatever you wanted. And it will basically add that color to it. The one I'm actually interested in is the alpha. So I'm just going to click up here to add an alpha. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one now, and I'm going to put one here too. Click there. I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to take the alpha and make it 0. So it starts off with nothing. So it starts. Basically it's gonna phase in. I'm going to have that happen really quick though. And then I'm going to take this guy, put this roughly here. I'm going to grab this one, and again take the alpha and make it 0. And let me just play it to make sure that's working. And you can see. Oops. Let's restart. See how it's not doing that? And that's because that thing I was saying before about the material. So I'm going to go back to the material here, and let's try cutout. And now let's go back to the particle and play. And it's not, oops. Okay. Let's go back to the material again, and let's try multiply. Let's see if that works. Click back here. Okay, that's not doing it either. All right, stop. I'm going to pause this and make sure what the settings are. I think my settings weren't necessarily wrong. It's just I couldn't see it because they were. It's happening so late in their life. So you see how they start to fade as they get smaller. So just make sure the material, I have it set to fade and multiply. And that seems to be working pretty good. All right, so I'm going to go back to this and make some further adjustments. Okay, so we did that. We did the size over lifetime. Let me just restart. Okay. All right. So not super happy with it. We need to just do a couple more things here to make it look a little bit better. So let me see, start lifetime. So I got 2.5 seconds. Let's make it 1. I don't really want it to last very long, so it'll happen a little bit quicker. And then let's take the start speed and make that less 2. Let's do 2.5 and play. Okay. And then let me see, start size. Let's do random between 2 constants. So that way, because right now they all come in at the same size, so it looks very universal. So I'm just going to click on that, between 2 constants. And let's do 0.1 and let's do 0.75. Let's see. Okay. That's fine. Let's see. Start, flip, rotation, gravity, simulation speed. We'll leave that alone. Okay, let's take this count up too, actually, because that seems a little low. You know, actually, I don't really like the gravity on it. Let's zero that out. Let's play it now. It's a little bit better. I'm not so big a fan of how far it's shooting out. Let me see. Start size. Circles interval. Let me see. That's the shape. Doesn't matter as much. That's not going to matter. Let me see. Start speed. Let's try 1. And let's take the shape here, and right now I've got it. Let me see. So where's the rotation? Here we go. So let's do 180. Oh, that's not actually the one I wanted. Let's see, that's 0. Let's try this one. 180. 90. Oh, there we go. 90. It's a little bit better. So now when we restart it, kind of shoot it out like that. Alright. And then, well, we'll call it, you just do a bunch more adjustments. I'm not super happy with it, to be honest, but I'm just going to call it good enough because you could spend a long time on it trying to make it look good. We're just going to go with that for now. I need to make more adjustments, but basically just play around with a lot of these numbers and things. Okay, so if we go to the game so you can see it, and let's see. Boop. Right, so there's a little puff of smoke, and that's great. Okay, but obviously that doesn't really help us a whole ton because it just happens once. I'm going to leave it play on awake because what we're going to do is we're actually going to use a thing called instantiation in order to make it pop out. Okay, so I'm going to see what I got so far. So Control S, and then what we're going to do is this. So I'm going to instantiate, which means that every time that we jump, I'm going to have it create a new one of these, and then it will play that thing. So I'm going to go to the smoke particle system here, so I'm going to take the smoke particle system, and then I'm going to make it a prefab. So it'll just basically, I will grab from this, and it will make a new one every time I need it. So now what I'm going to do is go to my scripts, go to the player controller script. Okay, here it is here. And basically we are going to add something that's going to hold our particle effect. So I'm just going to do a public. I'm going to make it public because you'll see in a second I need to basically drop it in there. Game object. Let's type, not game controller. Thought it did game object. Game object. And we're just going to call it ground smoke. Okay, that's great. And I don't need to attach it because we're going to attach it manually. I'll show you that in a second. And basically, I just want to, just like when we did the sound audio here for jump, I'm going to also make it pop out for when we jump. So it's going to be instantiate. That's a built-in function. So it's going to be instantiate. And then the thing I want to instantiate is going to be, so it means it's going to spawn something, is going to be ground smoke. ground smoke, which is that game object. And then it's going to ask what I want to instantiate, where I want it to instantiate. So here's the thing. I want it to spawn where he is. But if I do it exactly where he is, it's going to spawn from the center. I want to spawn it from his feet. Okay? So what we're going to do is, I'm going to do a new vector 2, because it's a 2D game. And then it's going to need an X and a Y. So I'm going to do transform.position.x. So basically, this is attached to the player. So it's going to be the player's position X. And then the other one, the other vector, is going to be transform.position.y minus, we'll say 1.25. Okay? So basically, it's going to be their position y minus put space there maybe that position. All right, so that's good. And then the last thing it's going to need is the orientation. So this is going to be quaternion dot identity. So basically what that means is just going to start at a 0 rotation. And why am I getting a weird error here? Cannot convert type double to float. Oh, okay. Can I put an F on this? Would that fix it? It would. Okay. So, sorry, 1.25F. Go ahead and save it. So it's position that it's, I'm sorry, it's what the object is. Then it's the position, which in this case I had to make a new vector 2 for the position, and the vector 2 position is going to be the player's position X and their position Y, but minus 1.25. This number is going to change for you depending on what the size your character is and what have you, if you're going to do this. And then the rotation. In this case, I just did quaternion.identity, which means 0. Okay, so save that. Go back in here. Hopefully, I don't get any errors. And then if you go to player, you're going to see that now, on the player controller script, it's looking for ground smoke. And all you're going to do is go to your prefabs, go back to player here, and where it says ground smoke, grab the smoke puff thing that we made, smoke puff particle system. And now, every time that we hit spacebar, it's going to instantiate that. So, you shall see. And he farted. Looks like I went too far down. So 1.25 was too much. So I'm going to go back here. Come on. And let's do, looks like a lot too much, 0.75. So you're going to have to play with this number a little bit. Come on. Let's see. Okay, so you might be looking at it and be like, I can't see it. So the reason why is one thing I forgot was I didn't set up the sorting order layer. So select the object here and then hit open prefab, or we can get rid of this one too. Actually, I don't need that anymore because it's spawning from there. So select it here, hit open prefab, and now when you make this, you have to do it this way because you want it to change for all of them. Go down to the renderer, and then you'll see where it says sorting ID, layer ID. Right now it's on default. You probably want to do maybe foreground to make sure it's in front of midground, or midground, and then maybe just put it high, like maybe 100 or something, and that should make it hopefully in front of everything else. And then if we hit play, so now you can see I need to adjust the position of it. It's still not, still a little too low. But you get kind of the idea. Let's do 0.33. Control S. Back here. But that's how you do kind of a basic particle. But what I would tell you to do is whatever one other thing too with this. Whatever you want to do, I would just look up what you want, but you can kind of apply it, you know, in basically this way. Just instantiate it. There we go. That seems better. Alright, so you can see, yay, now he farts every time. Okay. What I would say is you're going to want to set up that way. But there's one other problem with this too. I'm going to hit this back arrow to get back up here. I'm just going to go ahead and save this. So you can see I connected it manually. This is why we haven't been doing it this way. It's actually possible. We've always been doing things where we do like search for and find this. That way it's already set up. But now if you want it to work in your other scenes, you're going to do this every time. And just be wary of it. I got to go to scene 2 now. Let's go to scene 2. And if I try to hit play, it's going to work probably fine at first. But as soon as I hit spacebar, oh no. It's because if you go to your player, come on. There we go. If you go to your player, it's like, where's the ground smoke, man? You have to manually do this. Now, there is a way around this, but it's a little bit more complicated, and I don't really want to cover it because I think it'd just be too much. Just use, you're just going to have to manually, every time you have a new level, just make sure you put ground smoke in there. But just be aware that if it starts doing that, that's why. So just make sure that you, again, set that up. And now it'll work there too. Yay! So you can see. Alright. I probably should have made it so we killed it too, because now there's like a million of them. But anyway, that's it. So, good luck on your particles, but you could do some really neat things. But I would play around with it and see what you could possibly do. Okay?